Hey guys, welcome back. If you're here, we just kind of went through our oral drill and you previewed the text. If you're here at this moment, you should have a blank piece of paper with your story organizer on there. It should be blank because we haven't read yet, but you should be able to write what I write as I'm reading and completing the story organizer. So without further ado, let's dive into our text. A view from a backpack. Remember, you're just listening to Mrs. Lardner read. As I'm reading, I want you to be thinking about some of the elements that we see here in this poem that help us know that this is a piece of poetry. After we've read through it one time, I'm going to show you the story organizer that I filled out, and you will write what I write. Got it? Awesome. Let's get started. A View from a Backpack by Elizabeth Massey. My home is at the bottom of a zippered canvas sack that Bobby Macadoodle takes to school upon his back. He put me in here long ago when school began in fall, and here I stay since that first day, all wadded in a ball. I am a piece of paper that Bobby used in class to write a poem about a cricket hopping through the grass. But he changed his mind and wrote of baseball games instead. Into the backpack I went, landing crumpled on my head. I'm not complaining that I feel alone or lost or mad, for I have lots of buddies, so I'm never really sad. We keep each other company, a bunch of odds and ends, and sometimes Bobby tosses in another couple friends. I'm not complaining that I feel alone or lost or mad. Oh, my goodness, I put in the same paragraph 2 times. I'm going to skip that paragraph. Sorry about that, guys. And sometimes Bobby tosses in another couple friends. There are 3 paper clips that Bobby dropped in one day, an ink pen cap, a pencil lead, erasers, white and gray, a lunch bag with some slimy stuff, some chocolate crumbs and glue, some string, some lint, a homework pad, a sandwich turning blue. Bobby opens up his backpack when he needs to get a book, but rarely does he dig down deep or try to take a look. But one spring day, oh say in May or maybe early June, when flower blossoms scent the air and bluebirds sing their tune, school will let out and home will go for good, my friends and I. Bobby then will dump us out, and at last we'll see the sky. Pens, pencils, and the glue will find a home upon a shelf. That blue sandwich in its slimy bag, well, just ask yourself. Notebooks and those paper clips straight onto the desk they'll go. Then Bobby's mom will find my poem and frame me just for show. Sorry, I made that little mistake. Feel free to just ignore that when you see that on your Google form. No big deal. Good work. So what I wanted to go ahead and do was show you the story organizer that I had filled out and that I had completed. And I'm going to just show you what I wrote because today we're really going to be focusing on the Y box. So I'm going to kind of go quickly through the S, the T, the O, the R, and we'll spend some time focusing on the Y. If you need to pause the video to make your graphic organizer look like mine, go ahead and pause it and you can write what I write. Got it? Awesome. Where is the setting of the story? Where and when does it take place? Well, I know that this story is taking place inside of a boy's backpack. It's really coming from the main character, the narrator of the story, who's at the bottom of this backpack for all this time. What about T, naming some talking characters? Well, there's really only one talking character in this text, and it's the piece of paper. He's the narrator in the story. I know this is first person point of view because when I go back to the text, I see words like I, and I see words like he. He's referring to Bobby, who is not the main character of the story. I see I'm and we. So this is really showing me that this story is written this poem is written in the first person point of view. A character trait, something that describes the character's personality. The word I'm coming up with is hopeful. It really seems like this paper is really hopeful that one day he'll be able to get out of Bobby's backpack. His perspective, how he thinks or feels about another character or the situation, is that he thinks that one day he's going to get out of this backpack. And motivation, what does the character want or need? Well, the paper really wants to be out of the backpack. Let's move on to O. There's a problem. This is where I get to see the conflict. The conflict that I'm seeing is a little bit of an external conflict. The paper really wants to be out of the backpack, but can't because it hasn't been taken out yet. Any attempts to resolve? Not any explicit attempts to resolve, but I did notice that this paper decided to be patient and to wait until the spring, because the paper knows that if they're patient at the end of the school year, Bobby will empty the bag and they'll finally be allowed out of the backpack. It does make the conflict better because now he's going to get out of the bag. Got it? Cool. Now we're going to actually take some time thinking about the lesson learned. And to think about the lesson learned, I really need to think about how the conflict is solved, or what lesson the character might learn from some change or from the solution. So the conflict that I said was that the attempt to resolve the conflict was that the paper was going to wait until spring. He was going to be patient. And so when I was thinking about that, I was trying to think of a lesson that the paper might learn, or that we, the readers, might learn after reading the story. And so the lesson learned that I found was that if you're patient, good things will come. There was another lesson that I was kind of thinking along. I was trying to come up with a different one. And so I want to actually pause for a second and see if you can come up with a second lesson learned. What do you think? That's a great one. The one that I was thinking about, and let me know if this is the same one you came up with, is that sometimes we just kind of need to make the best out of a situation, and then good things will happen. So as long as we remain positive and remain hopeful and optimistic, good things will come to us in the end. Did you get something like that? Air high five. Shh, good work. Oh, you guys, we did it. This was our first part of our objective for today, was being able to read and analyze a poem using STORY. Awesome job. We're halfway there. Remember, we always need to remind ourselves, will we always have an ST, an O, an R, and a Y when we're looking at poetry? Jay-Z says, no, not always. And this case, we did have all of them. But I just want you to remember moving forward that if you encounter a poem and you don't have every box filled, not a big deal. All right. Now that we have read our poem, the next thing that we're going to do is actually dive into some questions. So you're going to listen to Mrs. Lardner model through a few of these questions, and then you are going to do some on your own. So without further ado, let's dive right into these questions. Number one, who is speaking in this poem? Well, speaking in the poem is really asking what is the point of view that is told. I know that I can go back into the text to find this answer. So if I'm remembering, I know that it wasn't Bobby. Bobby was the kid who had the backpack. The backpack was where the paper lived, but that's not exactly where the backpack, or that's not who was speaking. The backpack wasn't talking. Bobby's mom isn't even really mentioned until the end of the story, and it's just that she'll frame up or hang up the poem, so that one can't be true. A piece of paper, that is correct. Who's speaking in this poem? It's a piece of paper. We said earlier in our graphic organizer that this was written in the first person point of view. Good job. Number two, what is the first topic Bobby writes a poem about? Does he write about a baseball game? No, well, he does, but that's not the first topic that he writes about. So I know it can't be a baseball game. Does he write a poem about his friends? Nope, that's not true. Does he write a poem about a cricket in the grass? Yes, that is true, but I want to make sure, and I want to read the next sentence. Things in his backpack. He does not write about things in his backpack. Remember, he started writing his poem about a cricket in the grass, but he didn't like it, so he put it away and started writing about a baseball game. So the first topic he wrote about was a cricket in the grass. Good job. In the poem, which line shows the piece of paper is like a person? So I want to find a piece of evidence that's going to show me how this paper is kind of like a person. How is he being personified? So let's take a look. A, but he changed his mind and wrote of baseball games instead. That was a quote that's talking about Bobby changing his mind about writing about crickets. So that does not show me how the piece of paper is a person. Or I have a lot of buddies, so I'm never really sad. I'm going to leave this one as a question mark. I know that people have friends. Do paper papers normally have friends? No. This seems to be a way that the author, Elizabeth, is helping us understand how the paper is kind of like a person. So I'm going to leave that one as maybe for now. Some string, some lint, a homework pad, a sandwich turning blue. No, those are just kind of describing what was in the backpack with the paper. But rarely does he dig down deep or try to take a look. That is in reference to Bobby. Bobby not digging down deep into his backpack or trying to get the stuff out at the bottom. So that one does not show how the paper is like a person. That means my answer choice here has to be B. Woohoo! Cranking through today, guys. Good work. I went ahead and I clipped in the text one more time if you want to pause it and reread it, but this text is going to be available in your Google form in case you have any questions. What I want you to go ahead and do is scroll on down. You're going to answer these questions in your Google form and then click next, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.